I'm Alessandra Barrett, Senior Content Editor for JOC, and I'm at LogTech 19 with Brian Glick, founder and CEO of Chain.io. Great to have you here, Brian.
Nice to be here.
You just closed our LogTech conference with a great panel on the future of technology in our space. Where do we go from here?
So, to look at where we go, I think we have to look at what happened last year at this show versus this year. And last year, and even in previous years at other events, we were learning about technology. We were talking about what is blockchain, what is AI, what are APIs. This year, there was really none of that. The conversations are what are we going to do with it? And we've finally hit that point where, whether it's the shippers or the logistics companies, that we're really talking about solving problems now instead of understanding what's available. And I think that's makes for a really exciting time coming up in the next year of really seeing people apply these technologies to real solutions.
Does it surprise you that it shifted so quickly in a year?
Not really, only in the sense that these are cycles that are tried and true. So, we look back as a systems integration company, I look back to things that happened in the early 2000s in the last investment cycle where we all had to learn about things that seem antiquated now, like XML. What was XML and what is this thing and how can I can, eFax something to a vendor. Was it an amazing technology in one point? And they take a little bit of time for us to understand them, a little bit of time for companies to use them poorly, and then a long time for them to get it right. And we're just getting into that last phase of it where, people are going to start really judging things based on the basis of the business value instead of the basis of the buzzword. And that's a much more fun place to be when you're building real tools.
In your opinion, what has been the buzziest buzzword? What's the thing that didn't deliver?
It's very tempting to say blockchain, but I think it's still too early to say that it hasn't delivered. It's finding a home. Honestly, and people are going to get mad at me, but I think the buzziest buzzword is still APIs. Only in the sense that APIs are not in and of themselves a solution. They are a piece of technology. And companies are going to harness this technology to do lots of things, but there are still people out in the industry who see API as sort of that mic drop thing. I can say API and it implies that all the problems that have existed in 30 years or even in thousands of years of companies and people trying to work together are just going to magically get washed away because of a 3-letter acronym. And that's the same thing we heard about XML and the same thing we heard about, we have a fax machine. And all of those problems of mailing things are going to make the whole supply chain better. So, there's a long cycle of that. And anytime somebody throws a 3-letter acronym and doesn't finish the sentence with something else, they're probably selling something.
How does it all come together?
It all comes together by starting with business problems, starting with real issues that people are having, and then adding the tech. And the biggest difference for the last couple of years and the next 10 years, in my opinion, versus what we've seen in the past, is it used to be you made one generational decision to partner with a vendor. I'm going to buy this TMS or this ERP, and that will be the last IT decision I make for 5 years. And now what companies have to do to bring this all together is it's really up to each company to say, there's 1,000 startups out there, and there's 1,000 existing providers with great tech, and I need to stitch together my own solution. That is, I can't just be a digital forwarder or a digitally enabled BCO. I need to understand what that means to me, what that means to my customers, and look at this whole smorgasbord of technologies out there and pick the pieces that work for me, which is a harder problem to solve, and it's going to take smarter people inside the companies who are business-focused, not tech-focused, first.
Is there a technology that you're excited about that you feel that no one's talking about yet?
I think all of the technologies are being talked about to death. What I'm excited about that people are just getting around to talking about is the old-fashioned stuff, honestly, business process, right? So you look at robotic process automation companies, RPA, and even how people are using these APIs, that people are getting back to fundamentals, and they're getting back to what are the real, how do I map out my business, my process, whether it's my supply chain or the value that I'm bringing to my customer as a service provider, and really talking about that. And that's the thing that I wish we were having more conversations about that, about the holistic business processes and how we all partner together. And then let the geeks go back in the back room and solve how to make that work. But that executive conversation and that strategic conversation really, we're starting to have it again, but it's a much more exciting conversation. It's so much harder of a problem to solve, honestly.
Always great to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Brian Glick, CEO and founder of Chain.io.